economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, created by whom? We the people, formerly known as the ARPANET. Folks, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about today. But before we get busy, let's throw it to El Estudio where we can say hello to El Señor Howard Reynolds, Jacques Van Bever, and Mayana. Good morning, my dear brothers and sister. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm kind of excited for the show today. I've been enjoying these shows a lot these days, even more.
Well, well, thank you. You just touched my heart. Thank you so kindly.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
All right.
What's the word of the day?
Well, the word is your topic today. Representative Dan Crenshaw, Republican of Texas, delivered a town hall that undermined his constituents' intelligence. He did most of the talking, took few questions. Both his answers and updates were deceptions. He claimed Medicaid cuts were not really cuts, but savings from mitigating fraud, the old Doge trick. He gave the standard right wing lie about able bodied people taking advantage of Medicaid. He took credit for Texas not accepting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. When the audience made it clear that doing that kills Texans, he threw the Texas legislator under the bus. What a guy. What a guy.
What a
He,
guy.
he claimed clean energy was unreliable and that fracking and exporting LNG was beneficial to the environment. Ask the people up in Appalachia about that.
No
I don't
kidding.
think that's a good one. Um, this is an example of politicians indoctrinated by the Powell memo, lying to their constituents to promote corporate lies that benefit who? The corporatocracy, baby.
The corporatocracy, baby. It is a shame. Now, I went to listen to actually, I went there not as by the way, I'm a constituent of Dan Crenshaw. I am Dan Crenshaw's constituent. I decided that I was going to go not as a constituent at Dan Crenshaw, but as a correspondent for KPFT. And it became harder and harder to be just a correspondent of KPFT. Instead, the Egberto had to be there. The constituent had to be there. And I tell you why. Because the volume of lies, deception, and misinformation, and the tactic that he used is a tactic that's going to be attempted around the entire country with the way they've been, the Republicans have been getting called out at these things. And I came close to looking at that audience because, a lot, I came close to looking at that audience and saying, guys, just act out at this point in time. I came so close to shouting that out in the audience. Act out. And the reason why was the disrespect with the bloviation, the disrespect with purposefully extending that hour to not accept questions. There was a part during that thing that I raised my hand and I shouted from my cameras. I was up near the front. Let me ask you a real question. Because what he did, first of all, uh, the audience surprised me. As you know, I've always spoken about this. The audience and folks that are listening from other states, from other areas, this is actually parallel to what a lot of you are seeing. This one just took it to an art. Um, the audience was decidedly against him, and it was not a and that it was not a very democratic audience, because there were people that I know in there that are red-blooded Republicans. And there was one who started to shout a question about the caps on Social Security. And, Social Security doesn't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Medicaid don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. And the answer that he gave was surprising. But before I get into that, the audience surprised me in that it was antsy. The audience called him out a whole lot as he was speaking. And you could see that the MAGA Republicans were decidedly in the minority in Kingwood, Texas. This is one of the places where we have the strongest Tea Party. This is one of the places where Ted Cruz, whenever he comes in this area, he comes to raise money in Kingwood, Texas. And that audience, you would think, was in the middle of Montrose here in Houston. That's the kind of audience that he had. And his director, and by the way, it's amazing how small the world is. That his director is actually a former neighbor that moved out a few years ago, but a former neighbor who I know. She knows me well, and I chatted with her some, but it was kind of difficult because the guy that she was working for, uh, the 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 the, the level of lies and that he told about the big beautiful bill, about many other issues, were so astounding. And you know there's a point that she looked at me and she said, Egberto, you're respected in the community. Why are you going to be shout out these questions like that? And I turned around and I said, the problem is he's lying. It's not that he's lying, but he is disrespecting this audience. And then one of her proteges came up and said, okay, what would you like to ask? And then I told her, I'd like to ask him, why is he supporting what, he said, he called out, tell me something that in this bill that is really tailored to the rich. And I said, I've got an answer. I've got an answer. I said, if you take a look at how SGOs are handled, these things that give scholarship granting organizations are handled. If you take a look at how the 179 expense for airplanes are handled compared to your car, all these things are. And then she said, "Oh, that's too technical for you to ask." I'm like, "What?" The sum total of all these technical things are what's harming, and the reason why these cuts had to be so large. The fact that you can write off a whole $82 million airplane for one person, the fact that you can do these particular things within the bill. And you know what? I came home and I said, let me make sure that these things that were in that final bill remained after it was signed. And I went back to Chat GPT and read the PDF back in, and oh my God, yeah, these things are still there that that shows this bill is a bill for the rich. And here we have a congressman coming into this area assuming that his audience is dumb. And the truth of the matter is, there was one Republican guy that got up and shouted into a friend of mine's face, which I had to tell him, sit your butt down. Don't speak to a woman like that. And I don't mean to be sexist here, but if it was a man, I would say don't speak to a man like that too, I promise. But don't speak to her like that. And then he finally got up, and then they also gave him the mic at the. I mean, the disrespect with which the audience and it was treated, and the assumption that they're dumb and that can't read a bill, that somehow you are going to take $1 trillion out over 10 years on a bill and it not hurt the people. The idea that you mull over that the tariffs is actually a tax on everybody, and if you can say that Trump raising $100 billion since he's implemented these tariffs is a big thing, how do you not say that 100 billion, over 100 billion a year, that you're taking out of the economy in two ways: tax cut for the wealthy, and actually it's going to be closer to $1 trillion in tariffs, not going to have an effect. Folks, they're acting like we are stupid. So they finally said, one of his privileged fans, Egberto, okay, why don't you, here's my card. Send me the questions that you actually have for him. And, you know, I contemplated, I'm going to send you these questions. But the fact of the matter is the following. There was no ABC, CBS, NBC media at this very, very well attended town hall. Better attended than many that you see on TV. Our local folks didn't come, and we understand why. Because they would have had to report that in Kingwood, Texas, Dan Crenshaw had an audience that actually seemed like it was in the middle of New York City, in the middle of Houston, or one of these areas. They would have had to report the truth that, my God, the wheels are falling off of the wheelbarrow. They would have had to report that. And they didn't want Americans to see that response. Well, I've got the tape up. The sound quality is horrendous, but the angst of the crowd is palpable that one can get from the video that I made. And of course, I wrote it up. So what Jack did in the beginning, he gave us part of what came out in the event. But I have one thing to tell. I'm going to get to the blog in a minute, but I have one thing to tell all of you that are listening to me right now. This is your democracy, and there are two subjects that I intended to cover today. One is the Crenshaw town hall and what it really means, and also because we know the angst is there. A president at below 38% popularity or effectiveness, or 38% approval rating, and people learning more and more about what this bill is going to do. To Linda Griffin, it was great seeing you too, sis. It was great seeing you at the town hall. What it's going to do, it's going to be, and the people are in fact waking up because, like I said, while the angst of the crowd, the very large crowd, was palpable, what was more amazing to me is the amount of Republicans that I know personally that I saw in that crowd reacting. I'm going to continue in a minute, but since Betty's on the line, let me get to Betty before I continue. Betty, come on in, sis.
Okay. Good morning, Alberto. Hi. Let's start with Trump is the beast of burden on America. Too many to carry. Trump's abuse and racist. When's the last time you felt good about being alive? This is about the undocumented. The undocumented live here since they were, babies, 30 years sometimes. Kids some kids are not in school yet because of the paperwork that's going on. Some of the undocumented don't even use their right name at work because they pay Social Security and they don't get it back. So what's in the name? I'm as mad as a big red hen that just discovered a snake ate all our babies. The rice is balling in America. Love y'all.
Love you, Betty. Love you, Betty. You stay strong, sis. Let me pick up on something Betty said relative to what he said in the town hall. One of the proud achievements, Donald Trump closed the border. Uh, I digress from some of what we speak about. Closing the border, an achievement. Let me tell you something, okay? Um, Let me tell you what this supposed ICE thugs, this ICE brigade is going to do to our economy. When you go to the grocery stores right now and you see the prices of a lot of your produce, and you scream, just like uh, if Dan Crenshaw wants to accept what ICE is doing, let them accept the prices you're paying for produce in the stores, not only because of tariffs, but because of the lack of labor. You want to thank them? Let me tell you what the crisis at the border was not caused because you had a whole lot of brown people wanting to come into this country. It's caused by our policies over in these countries. But you don't learn that here, so you take the attitude that we want to get them out of here. Well, in getting out of there, if you listen to what Betty just said, Betty said something important that very few know, including many of the people supporting Dan Crenshaw in that room last night. Let me tell you something. All those people that you see coming over here to work, they're paying Social Security, and they will never, ever, ever, ever be able to cash it in, which means they are subsidizing every single American on Social Security right now. Say thank you to those folks you cherish calling illegal. Those folks that you cherish calling illegal aren't the criminals that many of you, including a couple of his advisors in that room, told me to my face. Think about them stabbing your daughter. Think about them. I don't think about them doing that. There are people who are evil who would do that, but you know who's killing more people than any undocumented worker? Your Texas legislature. And I wanted, when Dan Crenshaw said that he was part, that, in effect, he didn't say it directly, but he inferred that he should be thanked for Texas not accepting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. And because of that, we are responsible in how we deal with Medicaid. Wrong. Wrong. You have cost, Texas have been paying for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, whether we accept it or not. And by not accepting it, we not only hurt our economy, we didn't only get rural hospitals closed, but we killed Texans. And I wanted to say that, and I couldn't. I couldn't say that because he took all the time to talk. And even as I, close enough to him, shouted, and by the way, I even took a picture with the dude. Even as I shouted some of these things to him, my former neighbor said I was being, well, Egberto, you really shouldn't do that. Well, should he not answer questions? But I really wanted to get that platform that had a lot of Republicans that would never listen to KPFT, Republicans that will never read my blog, Republicans that would never read any progressive blog. I wanted them to hear Hall right, as he just admitted to you guys, all you Republicans in here. He just admitted to you that he just put your Social Security in danger. He just admitted to you that he got some of your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your neighbors killed. Because even as we Texans are paying for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, we said no. We said we rather see our fellow citizens die. Do you get it? Republican Party who claims to believe in the sanctity of life. Do you get it? Do you understand that he came to you and he thinks you are so stupid that he takes in and say, yes, I did that. And in doing that, he has put your own personal economy at risk? Did you get it? Now, from my blog, when he was asked about the Social Security cap, because as you know, the Social Security is in fact in danger, because he's correct. Every year or so, while the baby boomers are growing, every year there are less and less people paid into Social Security as a proportion of older folks. It's true. He's right. But the way to mitigate that is to remove the cap on Social Security, which means that the average middle class worker pays all their portion of the Social Security tax. Meaning, if you work for somebody, you pay about 6 point something percent, and your employer pays 6 point something percent. We all pay the 3% the Medicaid tax. But if you make $1 million, you pay the same amount as somebody who makes $150,000 or $30,000. If you make $1 billion, you pay the same amount of Social Security tax as somebody making $150,000. It's not a progressive. It's not a fair system. And what did Dan Crenshaw say? Well, Social Security wasn't designed to be a retirement plan. Okay, let's take that at face value. Since Social Security was not designed as a retirement plan, it means that your expectation is that people would save on their own. How the hell can they save on their own when the minimum wage stays stagnant for decades? People don't get increases in their salaries commensurate with inflation. The people who own companies and own stocks, their income goes up higher at a much higher rate than inflation, but the masses don't. And then you say, but you guys got to put away for your retirement. They don't have it. People say, well, if you're more responsible with your money, well, how do you get more responsible with your money when the capitalist structure says we spend a lot of money psychologically having you have the modal of being a debtor? These are competing requirements you're asking. And in asking to these competing requirements, you are putting the middle class into indentured servitude. And that's what they're doing. And to put it in layman terms, they're making you in effect a slave to employment, to work till you die. And even when you buy a home, they've even created instruments to take that away from you. Oh, why not take the equity out of your home? Go on a vacation, have fun. Don't leave anything bad for the folks that come before you. Now, let me get to a couple more callers. I need to continue this soliloquy, however, because I left that meeting knowing I want so much to talk to all of you, to tell you we have to wake up, we have to start critically thinking and not accept what these politicians tell us at face value. But let's start with Xavier. Come on in, Xavier.
Good morning, Humberto. I just want to make the point of my grandfather came to this country when he was 20 years old. That was 40 years ago. He's in his 60s going on 70. He's worked the entire time he's been here. He's been a roofer, a job that most people don't want to do. Now that he's getting to his older age, as he doesn't get Social Security, but he's always paid for it, that responsibility falls on like us younger people because, I have to help him. I have to think about his health. I looked at him last week and I thought to myself, he's getting old, he's getting tired, and that's not his fault. But, that just goes back to the argument of the idea that they're not helping society, but they really are, and they're really the backbone. And now, you said, say us saving money, how are we going to save money when we have to help the older people who are going to retire in a couple of years? That's my only point. Thank you, Rachel.
Xavier, I want you. First of all, you are. It's an honor for me to speak to you as somebody who realizes you are. I am my brother's keeper. I am my daddy's keeper. I am my granddaddy's keeper. I am, and you are so right. A lot of our younger people now, because of what we have done to the economy, are double dipping in their own with their own salaries, with their own earnings. They have to take care of their own kids, they have to take care of themselves, and they have to take care of the elderly who, because of our economic system, were not able to put away in to take care fully of themselves. And that you have taken on some of that responsibility. Honor to you, brother. Thank you, Xavier. Let's go to John. John, come on in.
Yeah, FDR wanted to have a pension program, and this is what other Western countries after World War II created, was these, like 3/4 of your salary for the rest of your life was the standard. And also, just north of me is a whole country called Canada, and I know somebody whose mother lived till she was 96. She lived the last 4 or 5 years in a nursing home, and she didn't have to pay anything. Well, she paid $5 a month. That was her contribution. So why is it that all of these other countries can do that and we can't? It's because all the rewards of this society go to the top. You're absolutely right. They're creating a rentier economy, and that's why a lot of people ended up leaving the old country and coming here. You can talk to some of the, when they were alive anyway, some of the old Norwegians and Swedes up here in Minnesota, and it was a two-tier society. Most people were, they had to pay for everything. They were exhausted from work, and they just wanted to go anywhere. Anywhere was better than what they came from in that kind of aristocratic, top-down society. Why do we have to repeat history over again? That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, John. But I want to add a couple of things to you. Yesterday, I had an interview with a young woman I met on Substack. Her name is Elizabeth LaRue. Elizabeth LaRue is a lawyer here, practiced in New York for the longest time. And finally, because of the state of our economy, etc., decided to move to Mexico. And as she moved there, she established a business that actually aids people in moving from here to Mexico. She does it in a responsible way. Even people of lower income here moving to Mexico, they do very well with the change in dollar exchange rates and all of that. So she's trying to teach people how to be responsible when they get to Mexico. But what I was trying to bring to that discussion is here. It is sad that to have a good life on what our country has to offer, you have to leave the country to do it. If you are at a lower economic status, or if you just want your money to go further, it's shameful that that's what we have to do. And one of the reasons we have to do this, Brother John, is the following: America does not understand. The people in America does not understand the amount of money the wealthy extracts out of our economy on our backs. They just can't. Americans can't fathom what the wealthy really earns. And the thing that irks me the most is that I should never have just said what they earned, but I should say what they extract unworthily, what they extract. We and we think taxing them is somehow taking something away from them instead of taking back what was stolen. And it's a mindset that we have to change. And it's a smooth talker like Dan Crenshaw, who the few in that room that ate it all up, that we have to get to. But thank you, John. I appreciate your call, my dear brother. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Is Dan Crenshaw, the guy with the black eye patch, who several years ago jumped out the back of a military aircraft pretending to be a superhero, talking like he was talking to 10-year-olds who would be voting in 8 years? Is that the guy?
Yes. That's the guy. That's the guy.
Good thing I wasn't there with you, because I would have got us both arrested. I feel so sorry for that young man who called you just before, whose grandfather worked his entire life, gave over his value as a laborer, and now, in the twilight of his life, he gets nothing from this country. This country run by a bunch of parasites, the ultra wealthy, who take and take. They take from that man. They take from other people who, with the promise of citizenship, if you serve in the military, and then people serve in the military successfully. And what did they do? They get expelled back to their own country. Our country is run by a bunch of criminals, parasites. That's what we got. And Dan Crenshaw is one of those guys. He aspires to be a criminal parasite oligarch. Shame on him.
Let me just say this, Johnny. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's a good thing I wasn't with you, because donuts be damned, we would have both been arrested. I can't stand that guy. I can't stand him any more than I could stand Hillary Clinton in her royal blue corporate pantsuit on the debate stage with Donald Trump.
Let me just say this, Johnny. Let me just say this, Johnny, because I want to be a bearer of what we are going to do for society, not on a partisan basis, but it appears partisan because of the people that are doing good right now. But I want people to be not just mad, because they don't care if you're mad. It was let me tell you what was interesting. After the hour ended, right? He starts the thing by saying, "I can only be here 1 hour." That's how he starts. I can only be here for 1 hour.
Great.
Okay? But here's the funny part about it. But all he did was talk and talk and talk. And people started to listen, no interruptions at first. But then he kept on talking and talking and talking. And you could see what was doing was just to take up the time, right? He had 2 camera people in there. And I know what the goal was. The goal was likely to show the rest of the Republican congressmen around the state, not the state, the country, how to conduct a town hall where you keep people in check. Because he really had a method. You could see that method in the way he spoke. But the people started to call him out, and I could see decidedly his rep, a woman that was my neighbor, you could see her getting, oh my, this is sort of getting out of whack. You could see that, because I don't think they had a plan that they expected to work that didn't. Okay, but after an hour, the disregard that he showed, he just said, okay, and with that, I gotta go. And he starts to walk out, and people started kind of shouting. And when he's passing, I'm like, hey, Dan, I got a couple of questions. Just a couple of questions, Dan, as he's walking out. Oh, I gotta go. I have that on camera where he's, oh, I gotta go. And I mean, the thing that gets me is that I don't want to be upset. I want to do something about it. So I want all of you that are listening, make sure and vote your interest. Don't vote what you think your what should I say? Don't vote your gender, don't vote your race, don't vote any of that. Vote that person that you can have faith in, that's going to go out there and change things to make it better for you. Because right now, folks, we are in fact at a tipping point. Go ahead, Johnny, before I move on.
Yeah. You said you had a camera. You recorded the proceedings?
Oh, I did everything. I had 2 cameras. I not only recorded it, I live streamed it to Substack. However, the Substack live stream was so terrible, I had to throw it out. The other live was terrible as well, because the area was very echoey, a lot of echo, so it's hard to understand most of what he said. But what I really wanted to capture was the people in there. But the other thing that I did is I wrote it up, so it's in my Substack. I'll put the link to my Substack in the chat, but I actually documented the whole thing.
They say picture speaks 1,000 words. I would have loved to be able to go to YouTube and see his performance and compare that to other Republicans.
Oh no, you can see it. You can see it. You just won't understand it perfectly, but I have it on YouTube as well. You can see it right now.
Good. Do you remember that woman from Utah or one of those states? Her name was Harriet something, and she was up on stage the entire time, and she would, when they asked her a question, she would immediately walk back to her podium and stand behind her podium, and she would say, I disagree.
Yeah, I remember.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard
Thank
that.
you.
I went to the roof. I immediately got on. I found her phone number, and I talked to her.
Johnny, I got to go, but Johnny, look, remember, let's not just be mad. folks. That's not enough. I have always said, for every book that I write, I said by the end of this book, I want there to be something that folks feel that they can go out and do. And there's a lot we can do right
Crime
now. There's a lot that's
prevention.
stopping you to do it, but there's a lot we can do. Johnny, I gotta go. Thank you, my brother. Let me get to Tag. Come on in, Tag.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Um, what happens to a person when they put a plastic bag over their head and seal it up around their neck?
Eventually, they suffocate and die because this carbon dioxide builds up and it poisons them. Yes, sir.
They run out of oxygen.
Yes.
Breathe. People have a hard time envisioning our country running out of money. And I
Yeah.
think that you need to look at this analogy about running out of oxygen to breathe in a plastic bag. And when I think about that, and then I think about the money situation, these people on top are taking so much money out of the system. It's just like you running out of oxygen in a plastic bag. And so I think
Okay.
people got to envision that.
Thank
So,
you, Tag.
go ahead.
The people don't have to, it can't. One of the things that we don't do in school is teach appropriately, right? There are various economic systems, and our economic system based on fiat money is one. And the thing about it is, because we're based on fiat money, there's some magical things we can do, but that's beyond the scope of the discussion today. But so I understand exactly what you're saying, brother. So thank you, Tag. Anything else you want to say, real quick?
Well, yeah, and with a new administration in, they have given them a whole bunch of more money, and it's all gone already. They've spent it, so people can't understand that we are out of oxygen. So
Thank you,
thanks,
brother.
everybody. Have a good weekend.
You too, my brother. All right, let's go to Derek. Come on in, Derek.
Hey, I just wanted to say kudos to you for pointing out exactly what Crenshaw and them was planning on doing. Like you said, he came out and automatically set out the premise, I'm going to only be here for an hour. For one thing, you as being an official, you have more than an hour that you waste in a whole week than the people have in a whole month by working every day. But they take the old playbook of Ronald Reagan. If you remember, Reagan used to walk out, and then the minute the press got ready to start questioning him, then that's when the doggone helicopter go off.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, all the time.
I can hear you. Yeah, so thank you for that, brother. Bye.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one, Derek. All right, let's go to was it Patrick or Jimmy? Let's go to Jim. Patrick, I'll come to you in a minute. Let's go to Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy next. Come on in, Jimmy.
Yeah, hi, Virgil. I'm curious about people saying that their relatives are not getting Social Security. I had a friend of mine who was married to a lady from Canada. She worked as a secretary for an oil company, and I'm sure she got Social Security, and she never became a citizen. So I'm wondering why these people are saying that they don't.
I'm pretty sure Xavier meant that the amount of Social Security that he got. The way Social Security works is based on you know it as well. Is how much money you put in, and there are a whole lot of laborers who, for many reasons, the person who employed them didn't put in the Social Security as they should. There are a whole lot of factors in that immigrants go through. Immigrants, while they're made the scapegoat. There's so much people take a lot of advantage off of these people because they just don't know, and a lot of times it's underpaying Social Security. It's a whole lot of stuff like that, Jimmy. It's a different world out there for many immigrants that just come over here, first time immigrants, etc. uh Folks many times are just glad to get a job, and they'll do just about anything.
I would assume they're getting a Social Security card and a number, and
Yes.
so I would assume that they get a check when they become 65 or so.
Yeah, and the other thing is this: just about everyone get the Social Security number, but unless you actually get legalized, again, that is permanent residency, green card, or U.S. citizenship, you're just subsidizing everybody else in Social Security. And that's what happens to most of those undocumented workers that we like to malign. They are holding up the amount of billions of dollars that they give every year that they will never ever see. It goes directly into those people who are currently collecting Social Security that the undocumented immigrant will never see. There's so
And the
much
reason,
to
and the,
go ahead.
yeah, the reason we don't have Medicaid Advantage or Medicaid addition is because of Governor Greg Abbott. He would not even discuss it with our former
Exactly.
county judge who wanted it. It's all on Governor Abbott.
Yeah, it's criminal. It's criminal, okay? It's criminal that we are paying billions, not every few years. Every year we pay billions of dollars into the fund that funds the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, and they're not supporting it. But it gets worse than that because I wish I had the chance to tell our Republican brothers and sisters in that room to tell them that their rates are going to go up this year, indirectly for most of them there, because most of them there are, have a fairly good income. Their rates are going to go up not because of inflation, but their rates are going to go up because, one, the subsidies that were given to other people in these insurance companies won't get those subsidies. And while their prices are going to balloon, everybody's prices are going to balloon because that's the way insurance works. The insurance company looks at all its books and it makes its adjustments based on its entire books, not solely based on who's getting insurance. I mean, that these people continue to vote against their own interests and don't understand this because there's nobody telling them this. And many of them are unwilling to believe when you're telling them that. It's a problem. Jimmy, I got to go. Thank you so kindly, brother. All right. Let's go to Patrick. Come on, brother Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, brother. Talk to me.
Not intending to beat this subject up, but I wanted to comment on what Brian had to say yesterday. He keeps trying to attribute mass shootings to people that are just trying to be comfortable in the skin they live in. He keeps trying to give us the idea that a trans person is going to be more likely to shoot people when they're not. They're 0.25% to 1% of the population. There's 600 mass shootings a year, so we should expect to see 2 to 6
trans
shootings per year. We don't. Yeah, and he keeps bringing up somebody that was actually hunting trans, not an actual trans person, and saying that they're trans. And then he's trying to defend semi-automatic weapons that are intended for military use. There is no reason to have any gun that's superfluous to harvesting game. I think that any sane person can agree to that. You can't use an AR-15 for home defense because it'll travel through the person you shoot, through the drywall, into your neighbor's house and possibly hurt them. That makes you criminally liable, even if it's in self-defense. So you have to use a shotgun or a smaller handgun for self-defense. And these weapons, when they're fired several times, the barrel heats up and they become wildly inaccurate. So after 2 or 3 shots, the gun that everybody wants to own is inaccurate, and the only purpose it could have is to spray into a crowd of people to maim or kill people at random. That is it.
Now, Patrick, it's funny because I'm not here like when Eddie called and talked about guns. I'm like, I don't want to take away your guns, but I mean, if you had a bazooka, I don't think we would allow that. If you want a F-16, I don't think you would allow that. But it goes further than that. We don't have a problem restricting marijuana. We don't have a problem restricting fentanyl. We don't have a problem restricting alcohol. Or rather, I'm sorry. We don't have a problem that we want to restrict those things, right? That cause harm. But guns that cause these damages massively, we want to give some sort of an exemption to irrespective of what you just said about what's for self-defense and what's for otherwise. It is a psychological game that the right learned how to use that we have to mitigate. They are the ones who have convinced so many of that argument is sane, a completely insane argument, that alcohol is legal and marijuana is not. That you can kill somebody drunk, and a heavy charge on marijuana can carry a bigger result. It makes no sense. And these are the things that we have to get sensible government for. And we don't have that right now. Patrick, close her out for me. What else you got to say?
Yeah, I could just say that we've even tried to make concessions with folks. We tried to limit those magazines to 3 or 5 rounds, which would make them no different than a hunting rifle that's just not as built to be a hunting rifle. But they wouldn't even go with that. They have to have their 30 round and their 100 round clips, and those are so heavy. They're difficult to deal with. And I like to remind people that I think it was in the 90s, there was a massive shooting of bank robbers in body armor that were using 100-round drums and shooting everybody up they could just walking down the street. They couldn't take them out until they shot them in the face.
Yeah, yeah, it is sad. But anyway, thank you very much for your comment. I'll see you at 3, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Take care. All right, let's go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I think about Crenshaw, and he wanted to close the border. That's funny. That's what Cornyn says too on his TV ads. And Cornyn also says, I voted with Trump more than 99%. Why is he afraid to say 100%? He doesn't know it's his basic math about rounding up. And they don't know what happened when Abbott did close the border for 3 days. The economy, how he messed up the economy here in Texas because he closed the border for 2 days.
I remember well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but then Crenshaw doesn't remember that. Cornyn doesn't remember that. And
the thing about it is that these people, again, they don't look. When you have all that you need, and this is the same thing that happened with the wealthy, right? The little things that you do affect that laborer big time, but it doesn't affect you, so you don't feel it. It doesn't affect that upper middle class person living in certain parts of Kingwood, so they can come in there and they can have their high mighty look, not realizing that these things have a material impact on people. You have to be empathetic to understand how your policies affect people. And if you just look at the trajectory of income in this country, it tells you. It tells you. Continue, Augie.
Oh, yeah, and I volunteered for some research project, and I was accepted for it. It had to do with Pfizer putting out a new COVID vaccine because COVID keeps changing. And yesterday I got a call from that research company saying, apologizing that Pfizer is canceling it because federal funding was withdrawn for the research. So they're withdrawing funding for medical research that will help people, vaccines and everything else too.
I want to stop you there for one specific reason, Augie, because I want Americans to hear this. What you just said was so damn important. Whenever you hear me speak about corporations don't take risks, it's we the people, the government, your tax dollars. Now here we have a study that Augie is in or with that canceled because the federal funding dried up. Okay? Remember, people are going to still get COVID. People are going to still run to vaccines when the COVID blows up. But that corporation, Pfizer, writes to Augie and says, because of the lack of federal funding, we're not doing it. So therefore, Pfizer will not invest its extensive profits into this. They won't. It's like I've told you guys all of the times. Corporations do not take risks. You do. And after that study that they do with Augie is complete with the change in virus, guess what would have happened? They would have sock it to your companies. They would have sock it to your insurance company or sock it to you to pay the full price of that drug that the government, you the people, paid for. And you notice what happened? As soon as the government cut funding, oh, we're not doing it any longer. Who's taking the risk again? Why do corporations make profits again? They claim they make these big profits so that they can do their research. Um, Augie, who was paying for that research again?
Pfizer. Well,
No,
it was
the
us,
federal
really.
government.
Yeah, the federal government. Yeah, they withdrew their funding for it. And I guess it was
Exactly.
our.
Exactly.
And
Your money, Augie. You were paying for that research. You were paying for that research. Amazing, isn't it?
yeah,
And now
yeah.
it's gone. So there you go. Anyway, Augie, I got to jump to David. Anything else you want to say real quick?
Okay, I have a friend who owns a Chinese restaurant. A couple of weeks ago, she was complaining about the rising cost of vegetables and the tariffs, and she imports the to-go boxes from China.
Right.
The prices went up, but besides that, they also put a limit on how much she can bring in.
Right.
And so she's figuring out about if she can keep her restaurant open now.
There you go.
And
It's starting to happen, Augie. I got to go, but Augie, it's starting to happen, brother. But we won't get what we pay for. Thank you, brother. Let's go to David. David, real quick. Come on in, David. David, you're on. All right. I don't hear David, so let's go to Brian. Okay, we'll be with you. Brian, come on in real quick.
I'm here. I'm here. Now that I've been called out by name, the FBI considers mass shootings more than 3 people involved. Now here's some basic numbers: standard velocity, low velocity, and high velocity. A .22 caliber is a standard low velocity, shoots about 1,500 feet per second. Mid-grade velocity, such as a 30-30, shoots about 2,000. A 223, a 70 grain, about 3,000 feet per second. And Patrick, if you don't know what you're talking about in firearms, don't say anything. Don't talk about it. Learn. It doesn't heat up after 3 shots. Okay? It's a Woodsman 742. It was made in 1921. It's a semi-automatic. It shoots a 7mm Magnum. You understand the difference between a Magnum and a 22 round? If you can't know what you're talking about, don't degrade a firearm until you learn. You got it? You understand?
All right, Brian is actually pretty wrong. I mean, the firearm heats up after the first shot, and I can give you the actual
It does
heat.
not.
I can actually give you the heat transfer calculations based on the amount of bullets, the velocity that's leaving the thing, the kinetic energy caused by friction that actually heats the barrel up. So, sir, the person who doesn't know what they're talking about is you. I can give you the mathematical formula of why that barrel heats up, not only from the explosion from the gunfire, but for the friction across the walls of that thing. So you don't know what you're talking about, my dear brother. Let's go to Jesse. Come on in, Jesse. Jesse? Okay, let's go to Bruce.
Hello.
Bruce, come on in, Bruce. I haven't heard from you in a while. Come on in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Sunday, I came down with COVID, and I felt like a me in the head. It's the worst I've felt in my entire life. I was able
Sorry
to keep
for
no
that.
down. Monday, I managed to get a half a sandwich down, and Tuesday, a half a sandwich. Anyway, I turned the corner on Wednesday. I feel better now. But I had all my vaccines and all my updates, so I'm wondering how bad this would have been if I hadn't had some immunity built up. I probably would have been in the hospital at 71 years of age. Who knows? I hate what they're doing with cutting funds to vaccine research. This RFK Jr. is a nut. I'm going to get off the phone now. You're short for
But
time.
Bruce, let me ask you real quick. How are you feeling? Did you take any medicine or you made your body heal itself?
By the time I was too weak to drive on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday I managed to get to a clinic, and because my first symptoms showed up on Saturday, Wednesday made 5 days, and they said the Paxlovid, I was on the edge of whether I should take it or not. So I said, since I've turned the corner and I've broken the fever already, I'm going to fight it off. I've been feeling every day I feel better. I'm sweating a little bit today, but I feel good. I'm not coughing anymore. But let me tell you something. That is the worst I've felt in my life.
I hear you, brother.
Boxer had hit me in the head. But anyway, I'm gonna get off.
Did you get a lot of phlegm in? Did you get a lot of phlegm in your lungs at all, or did your lungs stayed clear?
I didn't have phlegm, but I had nonstop coughing. What would happen is I didn't sleep Sunday night, Monday night, or Tuesday night because I'd go into a coughing fit for 10 minutes, and then I'd sleep for 10 minutes. Wake up and go in a coughing fit and that was all night long.
Bruce, I'm sorry to hear about that, brother, but I'm glad that you're overcoming it, folks. You see, this is what we're talking about. He probably made it through better because he was vaccinated. Hey, guys, be careful out there. I should have worn my mask yesterday. I even got one from Cindy. Cindy, thank you for wearing your mask and doing the responsible thing that you did over there. Cindy, uh, wow, did good work. Thank you very much, Bruce. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me throw it to the studio real quick because we're out of time. Studio?
Yeah, we're here. I was thinking about what you were talking about, like voting. Usually, when we vote for who the media and the pundits tell us that we can vote for, and that like government change is incremental and it's about trickling down. I feel like we need to just stop listening to those who get paid to tell us what we can have if we really want to get rid of this like renters society that you speak of.
You're absolutely right, and that's what we intend to do. Hey, Jack, you have anything to add? Mayana, that was it. That was a damn perfect statement to end on. Jack, anything real quick?
Yeah, if you're not pilfered by pricing power, you're plundered by plutocrats.
Absolutely. So, hey, sorry I didn't call out all my folks in Substack, all my folks in the chat. You know I love you, but I tell you something, man. These are serious times, and we will continue to take our country back. This is not over. We will make sure we are who we say we are. Look, the rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write me at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. And of course, I love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?